Welcome to the channel, everybody. We are here at the development block, and so yeah, we're in the new shed. Everything's just spaced around out here at the minute, so there's a lot of wasted space, but a lot of this is only just temporary storage and yeah, things like that. So a little bit of work just being done to the cat and the chaser bin. Nothing, I don't actually know what was being done to the chaser bin, but yeah, the cat just needed a bit of a check over. It's got fairly high hours on it, so it's blowing a bit of smoke on startup and things like that. So we're just contemplating what might need to be done with that, whether a Rico motor or, yeah, just working out our options with that. But yes, we've got the two headers are in here as well. They're ready to go, basically. So yeah, they're just, I don't think it doesn't look like we're going to be doing any more harvesting for the neighbours or anything, but they were here ready to go. And yeah, dump truck, loader, auger, all sorts. So yeah, we've still got a fair bit of gear in here, and there's still quite a lot of space left, so that is good. What we are doing in this video is we're going to be cultivating on the organic side of this block. So there's still a couple of 100 hectares of organic stuff to cultivate. So yeah, I'm trying to get that done this week. This is just the start of the week before Christmas, so hopefully I can get it all tidied off and there's not too many issues. First things first, I've got to move this forklift, and I'm going to take the work trailer here down to the tractor. I've got to just change a couple of things on it, and yeah, then I should be ready to get going. See if this thing fires up. Beautiful. That is a pleasure to drive. We need another one of these for up at the main farm, I think. That's a good size. Well, in the last video, I was working on the crossing here with Brad, and yeah, it's been probably 3-4 days, so it would have dried out a little bit there, hopefully, but yeah, it still needs a bit of attention once it does dry out. But yes, this here is just over this little rise here. There's a fair bit of erosion from a while ago. Not this last flood event, it was one from quite a while ago. Obviously each time it rains it gets a bit worse, but yeah, we don't want to be falling down into there. You can see there's a bit of rock there that had been put there to try and stop that, but yeah, when you're talking masses amount of water and soft black dirt, it's always going to erode away a bit, so just got to work out a way to minimise that somehow. Right, well, I got to start with this paddock here. It's not very big, a couple of little tiny paddocks just to the north of here, and then there's the bigger paddocks all the way over there. So we'll see how much I can get done. Yeah, there is a bit of wireweed that yeah, just wraps around the tine. The other thing is, Brad is down here as well, and he just said to me that he's going to get the dozer and do a bit of work on the causeways and things. I'm not sure if that's Tiny Tot or Tiny 3. Knowing Brad, I think it's going to be Tiny 3. Well, I better give way to other machinery, more particularly when it's a D11. So it is school holidays, so some of the kids are helping out around the place. But Brad did say there was some issues with Tiny 3 yeah, this morning. They were trying to start it, and the battery terminals are corroded, and then the throttle cable was a bit stuck. But yeah, it has been sitting there all through harvest, so You got to expect that a bit. But anyway, it's going. So far I've done, let's have a look at the screen here. Where am I? Got to get used to all the different, about 8.5 hectares. It's tricky to get used to all the control operations of the different machinery. But yes, it is good having the extra horsepower to, yeah, you can lug a lot better. So the other handy feature is on the remote here itself. You can lift your remote for remote number 1 up and down. So the lift up and down of the cultivator, you just use these buttons. You've got your gears, and then that's just your revs. So it is all pretty simple. Yeah, so much nicer in this sort of situation than the Challenger that we used to use a bit, mainly because the rocks are just wreak havoc on the tracks. But yeah, it seems to be, the sty gear seems to be working well. We're running at about 10% slip, or trying to, around there. You don't want to be running much more than that because it just chews out tyres. Yeah, it's not real good, so just have to slow down a bit once the slip is getting up there. But yeah, we're doing about 8 kilometres an hour, maybe between 7 and 8 kilometres an hour. So yeah, we are getting over it reasonably quickly. We're just on the last little bit for the day. I'm just about to pull up here. I've done a total of almost 60 hectares, which isn't a bad effort really. So yeah, no, it's gone really well actually. Haven't had any major issues, and yeah, Obviously I haven't had any major issues because I haven't taken much footage today, so it's all gone fairly smooth, which is what we want. The less drama the better, even though it does make for better YouTube videos. That's not what we want. Well, we're back here in the morning at the development block and need to fill up the Steiger with fuel, and the white tank over there hooked up to the old tractor there, it's only got a bit under 10%, so it's not going to fill it up, and I don't really have the time to wait to fill it up to take it down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Dad's little project here. So quite a few videos ago now, Dad was making and working out a way to have a little fuel tank for the little tiny tot, and yeah, so it's about 400 litre tank, and yeah, he made up, this was an old trailer, and modified it and everything to to be a little fuel tank. So there's a little toolbox at the back, and it's got a little electric motor at the front, so it's not a quick one. But the other thing is when I get down to the Steiger, I do have to pull all the trash off the tines. So while that's doing that, I can have this pump going. So there's about, I think there's a little bit under 400 litres in this, but about 300 litres would get me through to the day basically. So a bit later on in the day, someone else can bring down and sort out with the other tank. So that is what's happening. Right, well, we've got all the trash pulled off it. It's a fair effort, that. I think that fuel tank is actually about 500 litres, but basically, by the time the 500 litres gets transferred into this, I'm pretty much done on that. Now, if you're wondering why it's harder to farm organically, this is a great example of why that is. So, you'll see, well, you saw earlier this morning I pulled off all the trash from the tines, and I did about maybe 100 metres, and it was all full again. So what happens too, now that they're all full of trash, all it takes is to go through a really bit of thick patch or bad patch of weeds, and it all gets caught and bogged up, and you have to do a loop. So yeah, you lose a lot of your efficiency because of that, but there's no other option to kill these weeds. You can get organic certified sprays and things that you can spray the weeds, but doing that on a massive scale, it's fine in the backyard or anything like that, but doing it on a large scale is virtually untenable. So yeah, this is the only option we've got to control weeds, and it's always this first cultivation after harvest where you've got your stubble, and the weeds are usually pretty bad. That, yeah, it makes it pretty hard, and it's not worth my time getting out to try and clean them up, because I'll do 50 metres and it'll be the same again. So yeah, it's just part of the challenges, and you know, it is, you do get rewarded in a sense for the hard work, because you do get paid more for the organic seed most of the time, but yeah, it isn't as easy as it all seems. So usually when you're farming normally, all of this you just run over it with a sprayer. You know, with a sprayer you're doing anywhere from 30 to 60, 70 hectares an hour, and with cultivating it's more like maybe 6 hectares an hour, something like that, and it just takes longer. You're burning a lot of diesel, and yeah, a lot more time consuming. So yeah, it's just interesting to see the contrast between the two ways that it has to be done. Really don't want to fall asleep at the minute, because you would end up in a bit of a pickle there. Well, there's no one to take over, there's no shift work happening at the minute, so I'm going to head off back home very shortly. So it's been about 10 hours or so cultivating, so hasn't been a really big day, and I should finish this off maybe lunchtime tomorrow, maybe, yeah, somewhere around there anyway. Well, good morning. We are back on a mostly sunny day. A little bit of a haze, a little bit of cloud cover. We are talking a bit of rain potentially. Not so much maybe this afternoon, but tomorrow. So we'll see what eventuates there. Now, hopefully, I've only got maybe a couple of hours left here to do, and the longer you can have the paddock cultivated before you get rain, the better. If you get rain sort of within maybe 24 hours or so, you run the risk of getting some transplant, so that means basically that the weed might even be attached to a clot of dirt that's got a bit of moisture in it, and or just it gets cut, the weed gets ripped up, and then it gets still put in dirt, and it gets rained on, obviously. Then you've got basically, like it would seem, it says it's basically like transplanted the weed. So you do want it to dry out a little bit before you get rain, just to make sure the weed's dead. But anyway, it's all looking pretty good. There's no real issues to speak of. It's just been basically 3 days of relatively trouble-free cultivating, which is a little bit uncommon at the minute. So we'll probably leave the video there for now. Again, if you like the videos, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. You can check out the Facebook and the Instagram accounts, they're in the description, and we'll catch you in the next one.